in your experiments, it's a marathon. Michael Sjogren talked about saying he spoke to 37 lenders before he got his boutique hotel deal. Like, let that sink in. Not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven, not eight, not nine, not 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Like, just saying it is exhausting. I didn't get to 37. That's 37 touch points, 37 calls, 37 emails, 37 provide me your, your financials, all that. And like, we see someone like Mike, who I admire, who's a good friend of mine, who pulled me into the space. You guys know episode 91. And we admire that. And you're like, damn, but like, it takes work, right? And so like, whenever you're down this week or tomorrow or whatever the case might be, just think about 37 offers.
Who's this? Oh, you're an entrepreneur? Oh, you're a real estate investor. Oh, you're trying to learn from those who did it. Well, come into the lab then. Put your white coat on, gloves on, notepad, and let's build, y'all.
Guys, we are here in the Creator House. Shout out to Boostly for making this happen and bringing this group together. Always get your book direct site game strong with this man right here. But I'm honestly honored to be here with this group. Shout out to the whole squad here behind us. Shout out to Celine over here and my man Tommy. But we got Wil Slickers, man. You killed it today, man, with the MCing.
Thank you.
And obviously, you're a practitioner in the space. We've all respected. We've been in the lab together. We got Natalie Palmer in the building.
The one and only, no vacancy.
Thank you guys.
You're still on like cloud 9 from the living it up.
I don't know what city I'm in or what conference I'm at, but it's all great.
We got the real estate hacker in the building.
How's it going?
My right hand man here in Georgia.
Absolutely.
And your boy, the real estate experiment, the lab. So we took the lab here and we took it here in Nashville. Guys, like, I gotta say, if there's a key takeaway that kind of stuck out to you, I'm gonna start with Mr. Hatcher here on my left. You come to these conferences, you come to create connections with people, continue to foster deeper relationships that we've already had. At the same time, there's some nuggets that come back that we can apply and implement in our respective spaces. What's one thing that kind of jumps out at you, or maybe a recurring theme that you got from the wonderful event that, again, Bill Faeth and Michael Sjogren put together?
Yeah, I think one of the key takeaways that I took away was you got to have your assets protected correctly. I know that that's something that I neglected for a little bit, but the sessions with Jeff, the sessions with Safely, where they talked about having the right insurance, having the right structures, making sure that you're covering your liability on all fronts. I think we are all working hard to build really big portfolios, and we're trying to protect that. And I think that's something that everyone needs to pay a little more attention to in the space.
For sure. Natalie, I gotta ask you. I mean, you guys cover a lot of topics at your recent summit. Is there anything that you see as like a common denominator or common topic that we should be keeping top of mind, or even common maybe insight as you've kind of gone from now that you're here in Nashville from having just your own summit?
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway was really the imposter syndrome side of things. It's crazy how many people came up to me at this one and at Level Up and just were saying like, how are you on stage? Like, what are you doing? And then I would hear their story and I would genuinely be like, you should be speaking. Like, all these people are so impressive, and I just hope people take away that I hope seeing the wide perspective of all the stories and all the speakers just shows how many different ways there are to do this. There is no starting point that's better than another. I look up to some people because they've got their bookkeeping and their legal stuff in place, and maybe they look up to me for social media, and everyone can learn from everyone.
That's nice. Yeah. I mean, on that topic, I feel like if you come here, you can kind of absorb a lot. But then coming back down to I think we got a good framework. Game plan 1 day, 7 day, 30 day. There's so much that you learn. I think there's some of my key takeaway, just to piggyback on comment, was like, okay, yeah, great. Social media game is strong, but I'm not even telling people to partner with me. So when Tony and Sarah said that, I'm like, there's a little gem here. And I'm like, wow, I could just add on to what you're already doing. So the grass is always greener, but like just getting that reminder, that's how I look at it. It's like going to the gym. Like I got to flex this muscle a little bit more. I got to get some extra reps as well. So very interesting that you picked that up. But Wil Slicky, man, I know you were doing a lot of talking, but you also got a lot of chance to listen. And I don't know if do you get a chance? I'm curious. Like when you're on stage, do you see people's faces and reactions, or is it a light too bright?
It's a bright light for sure,
Okay.
especially at this venue. But there was a couple of people you can pick out in the crowd that you're like, all right, I gotta keep watching you. Like they were my indicator of like how things were going.
So, and the reason I asked that, I'm wondering like because when you're out there, you see reactions. Any like light bulb moments that you see, or people are just like taking extra notes? I don't know if you picked that up. I'm curious. I haven't emceed before, but I don't know from your perspective what you were able to pick up on what was like maybe you kind of sensed a common theme.
It would be like behind the scenes listening to the speakers, and I couldn't really see the faces, but if I did get to go out and I could see people taking notes on specific things or topics, I'd be like, okay, like that is something me and Julie can tie when we come back on stage. Like, how do we get people more engaged, right? Rather than just like talking to them, being like, how was that one session, or how was not that one session, but that one topic that, you know, loosely talked about, or that one thing that Vintory covers, like just kind of getting something that can captivate them back into the stage. Because I know sitting down for that long as an MC, you get really nervous because like people are getting antsy, they're excited to maybe chat about the session. So trying to find a way to make them captivated back again is an important piece.
Can I add a note on that too? I hope that whenever the speakers, people would ask questions and be like, how many of you are using social media? How many of you are protected? I really hope people actually paid attention to how many people raise their hands, because I would watch that and be like, oh, that's clearly a missed opportunity that I can now tailor my content to or do podcast episodes. So just even looking around the room, like you learn a lot about where the gaps are in the industry. So yeah, feeding off the audience is for sure.
Couldn't have said that better myself.
Data.
Yeah.
Data.
Real life data. Like real life data.
Real time data, just like from people you're sitting next to. Yeah.
Speaking of data, Mark, what's the data telling you? You got to meet the data in the flesh, because Mark, you're always giving us the game on all this tech and all that. You're giving us the statistics, And so when you come in person like this, what are you hearing? Because I know you're one of the savviest marketers. I see everything you do, and I watch you very closely, brother. So, what's kind of like, what are you seeing? Or is the way people are talking? What are they talking about? What are they asking you? What's a common denominator that we should kind of footnote on?
The common thing that I get is overwhelm. There's so many people that come up to us and they're saying, I know I need to do X, I know I need to do Y, but I don't know where to begin. And it's a mindset. And this is why I love coming to events like this, is that we get to chat to people live, direct, and survey, and get live feed and reactions. And I was very lucky I got to do the talk today, and I got to do the 4-hour workshop with Bill on Monday. And through the most biggest thing that I get from everything is there's just so much to do. There's so little time to do it, and that's why I'm so glad that we had Mike McCallum speak at this event. It's a massive impact for me, which cooperation, and we're able to, show people that I came up with a hashtag do the dishes. Right? Do the dishes, and what that basically means in summary is that when you go and have a coffee in the morning and you have a bowl of cereal and you leave it in the sink, right, and then you go away and at lunch you have a sandwich and you go a plate and you pile it on top. You come back at night time and you have like dinner, so you have like another plate and you pile it all up. And that sink is really full of dishes, right? And then you come back to tidy up later at night, but it's so full you get overwhelmed and you just leave it for the next day. Nothing gets done. So instead, in the morning when you have your coffee, you have your bowl of cereal, you clean, you do the dishes as you go. So little bite-sized chunks. You do it at lunch and at dinner, you do it as you go, and so it's much more manageable. And it's the same with your marketing. And I say to everyone, just do the dishes, just do little bits every day. And I saw people today doing the tactics, doing the tips that we were sharing, doing one little thing, and I guarantee in a week or in a month they'll come back to me and say, that's had an impact. So it's good. And this event is a massive part.
Yeah. Now to piggyback off that, especially talking about people being overwhelmed, I think Bill had a really good session today talking about creating your plan. What does that look like? What do you actually want out of this business? What kind of life do you want to create? And getting really tactical with that down to the number. What number do you want to hit? And Mike talks about that too in terms of, why do you want to get into that specific space? Why do you want to get into that asset class? Or why do you want to get into boutique hotels or whatever it may be? And I think a lot of times we can easily get overwhelmed by not having a plan, not knowing exactly where we want to go, how we want to get there, what that actually looks like. So, yeah.
One thing to piggyback, and I want to get your opinion on this, Ruben, is when Mike McCallowitz, I don't know why this took so long to actually click and be like a light bulb in my head, but we all come into the space of like, this is short-term rentals, this is hospitality, this is like boutique hotels. But then Mike goes, you know, as entrepreneurs, our job is to create jobs, not to give ourselves more work. And then I was like, damn, dog, I need to be firing myself more. Like, I need to like replace myself. And it's just like, yeah, like in the sense of doing one thing and becoming a master at it, training somebody, hiring for it, filling that position and moving on. Yeah. And, you know, as an entrepreneur, I think we all focus very much on the short-term rental side, hosting, how many properties you have, what's your systems, which is great. I think it's good to have systems that's part of being an entrepreneur, but like, going beyond just our industry. Can we take this and go out and duplicate it in a completely different industry? Yeah. Like, that's my question now. It's like, if we replace everything hospitality related, can we go and create something similar? Mm-hmm. So, Ruben, I would love to.
Well, yeah. Well, it's funny. It's good timing because I invested in this mastermind. I was telling this to Mark, right? I'm in the mastermind of buying businesses, right? And I'm like, when I was in the workshop of boutique hotels, my mind was going crazy because it's all about, it's the exact same concept. Like, we're talking about SBA loans, we're talking about value add, we're talking about like no systems, a.k.a. like in boutique hotels where people are still booking people on pen and paper. Yeah. And it's the same thing for other businesses. It's like when Mike really sets systems and teams, it's like it's applicable across the board. And so when you know, my thought is, there's a few things that happen because when I was speaking to someone in mind, it's like, yeah, I know I need to do SOPs, I need to do all that, but I think it's like breaking it down a little bit to the foundation of business. It's understanding, okay, what is our core competency? What are some of the repetitive steps, right, that came from like the airline industry? What are some checklists that need to happen? Am I the one that's most suitable to be doing those things? And if I'm not, who is the person I should be finding to do those things? And then, you know, when we go back to that mastermind that talks about buying a business, there's two options. Either you want to be an operator, rightfully so, which you can be. Like, if you want to be in your business, you can be. And this goes back to the question, like, what do you want? Because if you want to be checking people at the front desk, right? Kind of like White Lotus, what's her name? Shorty there. What's her name? She's in the boutique. She's always there. Yeah. Anyways, she's in the business. She likes it. I mean, maybe it's not her own business, but she wants to be an operator. Or do you want to be? It was two questions. Do you want to be an operator, or do you want to be an investor? Right, which means that you own the business, but then you hire a CEO. So it's kind of like tying it all together. It's like, first identify what you want, like what you want your day to look like. Then identify like what are going to be those tasks that you need to outsource so that you're not in it. And then essentially you get to your number, which is what Bill talks about. And I remember Bill did this in the mastermind in Miami, where it really came down to what is your number and what do you want your life to look like. So yeah, it's the thing to do. You got to do it. But now I'm curious, guys, because I go to a lot of conferences. I invest in myself a lot too, and then it can get very overwhelming, right? And so for you guys, we're all different phases in our business. Like, we hear it all the time: networking, mastermind, add value. It sounds cute, but like for us who are here, like, what does that actually look like? Like, I'm curious, because me, like, I take notes on my phone. That's what I do, and I use Evernote, right? And then in my business, I use Slack. Can you just open up the hood? Like, what does it look like for you guys when you go back home? I'll start with you, Mark, because I know you have a whole team in operation. Like, you as the boss, what happens when you get a nugget? How is that actually implemented in your business?
So the first thing I do, anything, doesn't matter if I listen to a podcast or I watch a YouTube video, read a book, or go to a conference, I just literally, so on a flight back tomorrow, I'm going to have my pad and paper and I'll just write with one thing that just comes top of mind. And that's my main takeaway. That's like my brain saying that's my main takeaway. And I make sure when I get home, that's the first thing I implement.
Okay, implement. Let's talk about that. How do you implement that? Because I know you have a team. So when you say implement,
so whatever it is, whatever it's going to be, whether it's something that I personally need to do. So I list everything in terms of numbers. One is like business and time critical. That means only I can do. Two means that I could do, but somebody in my team could do. And number three is I shouldn't even looking at it. So I will look at whatever that is and I'll number it 1, 2, or 3. And if it's me, then I make sure that whether it's next week when I get back started again, after a few days chill time, then that's the first thing that I do. If it's a 2 or a 3, then Friday morning I'll send a voice note to my team and I'll say this is what we're doing. So.
And I'm curious, do you do this? And I'm getting real tactical, guys, so I'm sorry, but this is gonna help a lot of people. Do you pick one thing, or is it like, oh, these are 3 nuggets that we can implement? How do you decide what things for?
So it's like literally when you have a night to sleep on it and you wake up the next day, and this is why I do it on a pen and paper, not like a phone or on the laptop. Because when you've got a pen and paper and you just literally let your brain just go, it will come to you, whatever that may be. And you may have to like do a little mind map or whatever that may be. Whatever that strong thing is, that's the thing that my brain's saying, you go. And I take one thing, it doesn't matter, and I do it every day. And go on that.
Okay, I like that. Well, do you have a different approach, or maybe even like if it's vulnerability of like too much info and like how you implement what has worked in the past, what's currently working for you now to actually execute what you learned from like a conference like this? What do you do?
Well, I went from a team of 2 for like a year and a half to like way more now. We're at 6 or 7, so this is a little bit different from now to today. But I would say brain dumping. I don't just do one. I kind of have to like vent or vomit everything that I learned and just be like, all right, this is all of it. And then usually depending on our business, if I'm seeing a certain pattern of the number of requests we're getting from either content creators or sponsors, or if we're just hearing one thing, if there's a mass majority push or shift, I usually kind of tackle that first because it's the biggest thing. It's the one thing that's like the commonality of all of it, right? From one side of our business to the other. So it's more of like finding the pattern of what's kind of happening. Then I'll tackle that first, and then let everything else kind of follow forward.
I'm gonna put you on the spot, player.
All right.
What you gonna do? Is there any key takeaway that you think in these next 7 days? Is there anything that's stuck out at you that you want to execute, or even a gem that you want to implement?
I think it's more of the trust but verify system, like building the systems, letting the team run with it, and not having to be involved. Like Mark is saying, like there's some things I shouldn't have to look at, but for me, I'm definitely trust but verify. Like I know today, Mike and Bill, I think, were the ones that were talking about it. I could be wrong, so sorry, Mike and Bill, if I'm butchering this, but it's more of like it wasn't on the midterm panel. I'm that I'm that guy. Like I'm really good on one thing, right? Like no one can replace me. I'm just too good, and finding a second, like finding like a Chris or finding a Danny or finding a this, like I just can't. It's really hard. Those are really hard. So I think if I can build everything around it, that can get me to the point where I can spend a lot of time and money and investing and finding that second hand and finding that extension of me. So that way, then the visionary that I know that I am from the book Rocket Fuel can be really just full on, let's go. Like I don't need to worry about the systems and the operations, like that's gonna be handled. And I just know that my team, as the vision continues to move forward, they're gonna be setting the stepping stones ahead of me.
I like it. Okay. I like it. Yeah, nice. What are we gonna any key takeaway?
Well, definitely everything Mike Michalowicz talked about. We already met today. We were sitting at a table next to someone who's a profit first consultant, and just sat next to her as Tatiana and I were talking about how we need to get this in order, and we booked a consultation with her for next week. So that's a big one. Like I was like, I'm not leaving without time on the calendar with you. Good. So that was a really big one. But I'm also in a phase right now where I kind of don't know what I want next. And so for me, I think I need to be like still for a week. I'm going to give the opposite advice of everyone. I need to like be still and really think about the fire hose we just drank from and like all the people that I'm inspired by and like kind of figure out which path to go. Because I feel pulled in a lot of different passionate directions and I need to narrow it down.
Well,
I'll put you on the spot. You were gonna ask something?
Well, it's like having your own conference too, like right before this. I can't imagine going from all the learnings and takeaways there to now, today. Like you probably have 3 weeks worth of soul searching.
What does that actually look like though? Do you think is it best to like, I don't know how you work, I'm just curious. Are you going to carve out time on your calendar and be like, hey, listen, I just need to just digest, or do you think just mentally the time away? Like, what works for you?
I need to talk to my husband and just talk his ear off and literally not have him respond anything to me, but just absorb it. Literally just absorb it because he's not in the industry. And so when I talk to him, that's the thing. Sometimes when you talk to people in the industry, they come out with all these ideas and sometimes it's good to find someone on the outside because they're just, you can just like throw things at them and then you'll sort of process it on your own without even the feedback. So,
that's so
he better be ready for me to talk his ear off first, straight out of the mouth.
Yeah, I think
This is like one of our accountability calls.
absolutely. You know, it really is. It really is. I think, you know, the next 2 days is going to be debriefing. I'm going to take a look at all the notes, all the different sessions, and see which one of those align. Going back to the plan thing, like I have my plan, I have the steps, I know what I want to be doing, I know where I want to be going. But of the actionable things and the moments that stuck out from the different sessions at the conference, which one of those best align with where I currently am in my plan to act on first and to implement first, and kind of create that like prioritization framework of, okay, I know right now for me, like Tony and Sarah did a great session on diversifying social and leveraging it as a tool. And I know like that's something that I need to do a lot better at. So I know like that's going to be top of mind. And then after I kind of break those things down, I think it comes to figuring the who now can best help me implement these things within my business to figure out how it's going to get done. So I think that's kind of how I plan to debrief. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is I'm going to be an open book. You know, because the lab, there's no secrets in the lab. So I'll tell you what I do is I take notes, my Evernote, and I go ahead, take notes in my Evernote, and I'm going to go to Relay. That's one thing for Profit First. We got that set up, and I'm going to go ahead and get Safely. That's real important for my business right now. And those are things, just scheduling a call is going to be one of the things that I do. And then at the same time, I already talked for email templates direct. Like we have that going on for me. I'm actually going to do the email templates first before I delegate, because I want to play with the Chrome extension. I want to play with the copy. I want to play with the how it moves around. And then I'm going to go ahead and record a loom video and assign it out.
Sure.
So
Everyone.
we have a plan.
It's a wrap.
We have a game plan, and just like that, we are
Going to dinner.
Yes.
It was fantastic work.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, thanks for doing this with all of us. Like, just for anyone who's listening to all of our podcasts on this episode, thank you for listening. Thanks for taking our advice. And if you were at the conference and you're going to other conferences, let us know, because we'd love to see you there.
Absolutely.
Stay plugged, y'all.
Experiment Nation, I have a special gift for you. If you're in the Airbnb space, or if you're thinking of getting into the Airbnb space, you're an operator with multiple units, your first unit, your 100th unit, just about to get into Airbnb, you are going to want to get this blueprint that I put together for you. Now, I want to give context of how this was put together, because sometimes people assemble these ideas and top 10 lists, top 5, top this, and it doesn't have any true valued vetted content. What I've done is I've surrounded myself by the best top short-term rental Airbnb operators in the world. I co-authored a best-selling book with them called Hospitable Host. I've had them on my platform and interviewed them to get the questions that you guys want to learn the most from into the episode, the show, The Real Estate Experiment, as you know. And I've also paid tens and thousands of dollars to be sitting in the room to get these notable insights that we implement ourselves as short-term rental operators. I'm a short-term rental specialist. I'm licensed to do it in the respective markets. You know, we build ours in Georgia. We have a management company ourselves. We're Airbnb Superhost. So we not only talk the talk, but we walk the walk, but we still consistently surround ourselves with the best in the space to get us further ahead. And this is what we've put together, an Airbnb Millionaire Blueprint, where you don't just hear it from me, you hear it, and it's an aggregate list. It's 21 pillars from short-term rental operators worldwide who've implemented this, and it's worked. And these are the exact same way we've been able to get results and get the same results from implementing these insights that I've pulled from multiple faces, right? Some people have tons of arbitrage units like TJ Tijani. Some like Bill Faeth have just a few. Some like Michael Sjogren has boutique hotels. They've scaled, and whether you have 1 unit, 10 units, or 100th unit, or about to get into your first unit, you're going to want to have this blueprint that you can utilize universally wherever you are in the world. Want to get this. I put together, we took a lot of time to put this together this year after all that we've been implementing in our lab, for you to have a guide that you can leverage, right? That you can use and implement. We've also given and tagged everybody that we've featured in and giving them credit so you know where the source is coming from. And you can check out their Instagram. You can see that they're vetted individuals that we not only work with and trust but learn from, because sometimes you get a lot of different information, and I want to make sure I give that credit where you can find out that person. And we've also, if they've been on our show, we've also linked the episode within this free blueprint. It's the Airbnb Millionaire Blueprint. Want to make sure you go to experimentrealestate.com. Once you get there, you'll see the pop-up that says I have something for you. Just scroll down, enter your name, enter your email, and we'll get it right sent to you. Don't want to sleep on this. We've been putting this together for quite some time, and I know that it will serve you regardless of where you are in your journey, to have an Airbnb Millionaire Blueprint that has been collectively vetted and has been sourced from operators who are operating at a high scale. Experiment Nation, you are welcome. Make sure to go to experimentrealestate.com and get your Airbnb Millionaire Blueprint so that you can also scale to the level of experiment that these practitioners like ourselves have done just for you, Experiment Nation. We'll see you on the other side. Experiment Nation, of course, you just saw that we just wrapped up when we were in Nashville. I wanted to record just the outro segment just because we had to rush out and get some dinner and close out the weekend, or the week, I should say. And there's a few key takeaways I wanted to share with Experiment Nation after attending short-term rental wealth conference, which has already been announced, if you're listening to this, that next year we'll be back in Nashville. Tickets sold out very quickly, so shout out to everybody who was able to get their tickets on time. Using my affiliate link last time. We had a great turnout. It was such great energy, such good laughter. We spent some time, as you can see, in the creator house. Got a chance to connect with a lot of our peers in the space. Like shout out to Mark Simpson of Boostly. We if you guys Invested Escapes, which you can see if you're watching me on camera here, is our midterm rental temporary housing relocation company here in Georgia. We also have a network that we're launching, and Mark Simpson and his team built our website. So if you're looking for a Book Direct website, don't hesitate. These guys do a great job. They can scrape everything from your Airbnb listings to make sure that, if you are looking to book direct like we are, which we specifically need to as corp to corp, make sure you get yourself that website. So I wanted to get a chance to say that. Also, we had Tatiana, who couldn't join us at the time, but she was also in the creator house. She was also the one who a co-author with me in the book Hospitable Host, an international best-selling book. We also had and she's also Tatiana also read the Audible for the book that was produced by read and edited by it was read by me, read by Tatiana, read by Julie George, and it was produced by investedtalent.com, which is the name of my agency that produces podcasts and repurposes content from the podcast and or any video content that you have, and we repurpose it on social media, specifically short form video content. So we have our hands in a lot of different pockets, but it's always great when it all comes together. I was very grateful to have a lot of individuals reach out to me, or actually just pull me to the side and be like, listen, I listened to your show. And that always feels great as a host. So I appreciate the feedback. If you're out there listening and I don't know you, or definitely feel free to reach out on Instagram, The Real Estate Experiment, because it's just very great to hear that Experiment Nation is benefiting from all these strategic interviews that we're having, to again give you what I like to say, the ingredients for your experiments. So when you benefit from it and you get to pull me to the side and let me know, and I get a chance to meet a new face and possibly even for partnerships, it's just incredible. What a time to be alive. And I just want to thank you for allowing me to bring you guys the best practitioners that I can get onto the air and hopefully it is helping you. And from what I heard, it is. And so if you're out there, don't hesitate to reach out. It's a great feeling to hear, and I look forward to continuing to offer and bring more value to you, and meet some of the Experiment Nation listeners. So that's my big thank you. Real quick, shout out to Wil Slickers, man. He did a great job just emceeing out there. I know he did the Natalie Palmer's event as well. And so it's just so good to see him thriving in his element. We've also collaborated on a lot of work. So he'll send he has his own basically audio should be more clear when I say this, but he has his own hosting of a network, podcast network. I should be more clear, for short-term rental operators, and there's always great opportunities for. It's called hospitality.fm. It's always great to reconnect with all the shows, all the hosts out there that have been on my show who are a part of his network, and then send each other business as well. So that's just a big shout out to Wil, man. Wil Slickers, at Wil Slickers on Instagram. Shout out to Natalie Palmer as well, _ Natalie Palmer on Instagram. And then, of course, the one and only Mark Simpson at Boostly UK. And, of course, my main man, right-hand man here in Atlanta, the real estate hacker. Brian's doing some amazing things, development work. He's got crazy timeshare arbitrage going as well. So I cannot wait to have him on the show as well. It's so funny because, where he's a buddy of mine, so I forget that he hasn't even been on the show, but we are in the lab cooking 24/7 with accountability calls, helping me out. He actually sent me a deal this morning. We're always leveraging each other's resources, whether it's cleaners, lenders. So shout out to that. That's what it's all about. Find somebody in your community that will do the same for you. But I wanted to say just a few things that came to mind. You said I brought up the conversation around what are you going to implement when you learn all these things? And I think when you go to a conference, there's a lot. You can get the recordings, you can take notes, but I'll say the number one thing I look for is following up on the relationships that I've built, because that's the who, not how, that has helped me get as far as I've been able to get to. And I know that's going to be the case as we look to scale, whether it's partnerships, when you run out of capital, it's going to be the relationships that you foster. So for me, that's number one. I sent out a few texts today. I still have a long list to get through, but for me, that's number one. And I would encourage you to do the same, because you meet someone, exchange contacts, and then they go stale. So do it while it's still, top of mind. So that's my number one kind of actionable step that you can take. You can also use a link like Calendly and say, hey, listen, no pressure. It's been a little while, or it's not, it's been a little while. No pressure. We just connected. I'm sure you're catching up on your messages too, but let's get something out on the calendar. Here's my Calendly link. Whether it's 2-3 weeks from now or even a month, let's just get it on the calendar. Get them to take the action that way. It takes less pressure off of them, where they gotta be like, oh, maybe it's, I gotta connect this person next week. No, give them an option, right? And send your Calendly and then follow up on that. That's what we do. So I'm giving you guys some tactical steps that work for me, and then some lessons learned, that key takeaways. So that's one. And then I always like to implement things right away, but it's like a compound effect. So if it's like, I know I need to implement some asset protection, okay, reach out to the insurance company as step one. That was a great session with the STR law guys. One thing you can do is book a call with them. Let that be the thing where you're forced to commit. So that's what we did. We filled out the flyer. We have a call coming up this week where we have to address this situation instead of kicking the can down the street, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And a lot of us will build these assets, and then we, Brian alluded to this, it goes by the wayside to protect them, because it's not a sexy thing to talk about or do. And then it's like, it's one of these things that you want to do when things are going well. When you're reactive, it's too late. You want to be proactive. So that's number two. So no, there was safely out there. Proper, we're gonna go with proper. Something that had been on my mind for a while. Safely is good too. You just want to see what's best for you. It's going to be in addition to your existing policy. So do your homework, take action, book a call, go on the website, fill out the form, have them reach out to you. That gets the momentum going, right? Number two, for us is going to be, we got our direct booking site up. But one of the things now we want to do is the outreach and volume. One thing Michael Sjogren talks about a lot, our host of the conference, or I should say, co-founder with Bill of the conference, is talks about KPIs a lot. And one of the things that we're not tracking right now that I want to track, and maybe you need to think about this in your business too, whether it's analyzing deals, whether it's whatever they think might be, you need to be able to measure it so they can look back this month for our KPIs, how many deals we look, how many offers do we make, etc. This is a good reminder for myself, right? I want to track KPIs on the offers that we're making. You want to be the KPIs to be something that you can control, not offers being accepted, but offers that you're writing. Well, what's the volume? Reverse engineer the math. Whether it's for a month, for a week, with respect to your marketplace, and with respect to the analysis. Maybe it's analyzing the deal itself. Sometimes you analyze a deal, it's not worth making the offer, but give yourself the kudos and credit so you can look back at the data to then address the KPIs. For us, it's going to be the amount of emails that we send out to these corporate relocation companies, because we're trying to build a household name here in Georgia. So we have to be able to send out campaigns in volume. That's not what we're doing it now. And so that's what we're going to implement. So that's the main key takeaway for me. And I just want to share and be an open book about what's going on in my world, and the lowest hanging fruit. Started setting up, playing with Strippo yesterday and Mail King. Those are going to be the Chrome extensions, one of the two that we use. Started playing around with their demo, looking around with the templates, like just action I can take right away. Doesn't mean I finished setting it up, but I already played around with it, and I'm going to look at it more tonight, making an offer tonight. I mean, there's a lot going on, but you got to continue to plant these seeds in your experiments and make sure that it falls in line with the vision that you have for your goal, so that you can reverse engineer and be like, are the actionable steps that I'm taking on a daily basis helping me get closer and closer to my goal? One of the things I like from the conference that Bill talked about was what is your 1 day goal, 7-day goal, and 30-day goal. I have the same. I have a sheet from MJ DeMarco. Talks about like what is the weekly goal should line up with the monthly goal. The monthly goal should line up with the yearly goal. The yearly goal should line up with the 5-year goal, then the 10-year goal. Now we know that's going to change, but at least having a blueprint in place that you can track and look back on is the reason why. That's what's going to help you, get to your end goal. You got to be able to measure it. So again, just want to give you some key takeaways that helped. And then I'm just going to drill down through some key takeaways and notes I've taken, that things that popped out in my mind. In your experiments, it's a marathon. Michael Sjogren talked about saying he spoke to 37 lenders before he got his boutique hotel deal. Like, let that sink in. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9, not 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Like, just saying it is exhausting. I didn't get to 37. That's 37 touch points, 37 calls, 37 emails, 37. Provide me your financials, all that. And like, we see someone like Mike, who I admire, who's a good friend of mine, who pulled me into the space. You guys know episode 91. And we admire that. And you're like, damn, but like, it takes work, right? And so like, whenever you're down this week or tomorrow or whatever the case might be, just think about 37 offers and think about how you have no excuse. Or think about how, if you want to get to where, guys like Mike are, right? And that's not just Mike, anybody who's done anything great, it takes a while. And it's not always highlighted. People forget that. They see all the, the beautiful conference you put together, the multi-millions, in net worth and etc. But like, there's work behind that. So I say that to encourage you, not to discourage you, to encourage you that everybody else is doing the work, and don't let, the outcome distract you or derail you from, what the reality, or whether it's social media or whatever. Like, there's a process. So double down. Love this from from the Robinsons. The real estate Robinsons, Sarah and Tony, they said sometimes you just gotta let the world know like what you're doing and make an offer to them. So we did DME partner the other day, and we're gonna continue to do that. Let that be a KPI. How many partnerships, offerings are you making? Hey, this is what we're up to. By the way, if you want to partner with us, DM us. How often do you do that on social? I know we weren't. And it's like, we're always open to having partnerships. So why aren't we doing, right? Why aren't we doing call to actions, right? That can lead to deals. So crazy, right? Another thing about trusting the process and planting seeds and fostering relationships, his partners had been hunting down, this is for the boutique hotel. This was a 5-year relationship with the seller, staying in front of them for 5 years. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 years. That's 60 months. Let that sink in. That's a process. Like, there's no handouts out here, right? And we want this quick gratification, but like this instant gratification, but 5 years. Like, some of us, including myself, haven't been in the short-term rental space for 5 years. Trust the process. STR, this was great. It said short-term rentals can make you cash very quickly. And we've seen that. We've seen some people come up in like 2 years, a year. So that's great. Wealth. Boutique hotels can help you create wealth. And you can see that in the value add deals that he did, right? Where you're buying like 1.2 at like 400K, and then they refinance for like 3 million, right? Again, not the exact numbers, just high level. Like, this stuff works when you do the work. One key takeaway: most businesses don't scale because you don't have SOPs and don't let go of control. Another thing that he said is there's 2 keys to freedom. It's systems and people. And I can't tell you how, I mentioned this earlier session with everybody, how I'm seeing this, right? Like, when you look to, I'm in a mastermind that buys other businesses, and so I'm learning the concept. And it's the same thing. It's like, when we talk about value add for boutique hotels, it's like value add for what systems can you implement that don't exist, and then who are the people that you need to hire or get rid of to make it a more profitable business. That's simple. Crazy. That's about it for now. There's a few little things, but like, some things really stick out. And then shout out to my man. I'm gonna give Dave Stokely a shout out here, because we were talking about this and it was like such a bar that I wanted to share this with you guys. The quote is the following: W2 jobs are overvalued by the people that love them and undervalued by the people trying to escape them. And then on the second slide, it says, friendly reminder that lenders still prefer a W2 employee that makes $50,000 over a 1099 entrepreneur that makes 500K. So it's crazy, because it's so true. You come to these conferences like, quit your job, quit your job, quit your job, quit your job, or at least that's the end goal. But what happens is we undervalue how much we can leverage the W2 to get out of the to then not be able to need it or depend on it. But while you have it, especially in real estate, from a lending perspective, it's a vibe, right? Like, you need to leverage that. All of us did. All of us still are doing it, right? For those who still have W2s, right? So leverage the W2, right? There's so many things that you can do, right? And use it to your advantage while you can, because banks love it when you're bankable and they're willing to give, because there's security. But when you start even making a lot of big money, and I know this because I've seen some, as a realtor, I see the kind of people who get approved and who don't, or who do, and how complicated it makes it for those who are not traditionally bankable. And it's a real asset that you got to take advantage of now. And I'll see a lot of people are like, oh, like, I see some people W2s doing rental arbitrage, but don't even own anything. And it's like, dude, do it now. Like, do both. Not either or, do both. You can own, house hack, do whatever it is you got to do. Get some of that ownership in there while you can, because later on, you're going to be like, oh, I wish I would have taken advantage of that. Because it is an advantage. And you have an advantage if you have a W2 and you think like an entrepreneur. That's the real hack, right? Because now you have both. You don't want to be the W2 person who's just, comfortable with their cushy job and they're not thinking of, making moves with anything, right? And that's where we talk about overvalued. There's security when really there isn't. We're trying to leverage the W2 to get us into a place where we no longer need the W2 and understanding. Those who have a W-2, don't think that you're safe, because you're not. You're just a number. And I've seen it too many times and time again, where when things don't add up on the balance sheet, it doesn't matter how many years you put in, how many nights you sacrifice, days, weekends, holidays. When you gotta go, you gotta go. And we've seen this. They're laying people off out here, right? They're doing what's best for their stakeholders. So you got to do what's best for your own asset that you're trying to build in your own empire. Listen, Experiment Nation, thank you for being the number one. What I feel like, there's a lot of number one fans out there, a lot of love for you guys, man. And just want to thank you for listening constantly and encouraging me on this journey as well, supporting me and supporting Experiment Nation, supporting each other with resources, individuals we can reach out to in our respective industry that can help us with the tools. If I can be an extension to you, if you have a question you want me to ask on the air, if there's any way that I can help, you guys know I offer coaching as well, consulting. Reach out to me. It's all about being able to help each other, each one teach one. On that note, we're out, and let's build jail.
Experiment Nation, podcasting has changed the way we operate as real estate investors ourselves, and it can do the same for you. Podcasting has been the source of the masterclasses that we get thanks to the world-class real estate investors and practitioners and specialists that come into the lab from all realms, from short-term rentals to mid-term rentals to real estate syndications to even software as a service. Owners, founders, entrepreneurs have helped enrich our experiments by giving us the education, helping us build a network, and lastly, and most importantly, a brand association to open up multiple doors for our respective businesses. If you understand the power that podcasting can have and you know that you need one for your brand, please, you can rely on our team. InvestedTalent.com is my team and the team that helps this podcast, the Real Estate Experiment, become the fruition each and every single week to educate my community, build relationships on the air, and continue to build our brand. If you know that you need to do the same for your brand and you haven't pulled the trigger yet, maybe because you don't know how, our company, InvestedTalent.com, does the end-to-end from the time that you record to the time that it is published to even repurposing content on multiple social media platforms. That's what my team can do for you. Simply go to InvestedTalent.com and book a discovery call to see how my team can help you launch your podcast.